My name is Abby Goldsmith. I'm an author and reader, and I'd like to talk about kind of a common proverb that a lot of authors hear, which is that a rising tide lifts all boats. That's something that's often said by the group 20 books to 50K, and kind of it's an indie author catchphrase. So I think that while newer authors do need encouragement and it's great to be positive, there's some realities that I think aren't often talked about, and that can be to the detriment of people that are going into it a little bit blinded or blindsided, where you hear a lot of huge success stories, but nobody talks about the many, many failure stories. And so people get kind of this wrong idea or wrong picture of what it's like to be an author, particularly an indie author, but also trad pub. So let's talk about the fact that 11,000 books are published daily on Amazon. That is a lot of people's hopes and dreams. Now, it's true that some of that is going to be AI slop or things that probably shouldn't be published. There's plenty of that. But there are lots and lots of people who are genuinely putting effort into their work. Some of them are telling unique stories, writing entire series. They're telling like magnum opus stories, and those just sink into obscurity for the most part. Many of them really do. There's this belief that, if it's good enough, it'll rise to the top. Like this is a meritocracy. If you have something that's easy to sell, easy to pitch, it's in a hot genre, you have a much, much better chance of being noticed. Right to market and rapid release as a formula for success. What that means is that the Amazon algorithms favor books that are newly released. And so authors that are able to put out a book a month or even a book a week are much more visible, just naturally, on the platform. And Amazon is the be-all, end-all for the most part for indie authors. Digital book sales are where they make their money. Hand-selling print editions of books in person is not a lucrative business. Buying paper for print is expensive, and those costs usually eat into whatever margin the person has. Setting up vendor booths at conventions costs money and so forth. So most people who are doing that, some of them are making a profit, but it's not like millionaire status here. They're usually just barely making a living. And that's the ones that are very successful at it, you know. So digital book sales is where it's at. Amazon is the world's largest bookstore. Most authors are very much trying to get noticed there. Now there are limited genre categories there. If you can kind of bump yourself up into one of the smaller categories. The main categories are very much taken over by the mainstream publishers. So it's almost impossible to get noticed in something like sci-fi or fantasy. Now, the subgenres, the subcategories like game lit and so forth, it's a little easier because it's not quite as oversaturated, but it's still oversaturated, make no mistake. So getting noticed and being visible is the name of the game. And behind the scenes, very often that takes ad spend and all kinds of marketing tricks and networking with other authors and that sort of thing. It's not easy, and just writing a great book is never enough. It just isn't, and that's common knowledge in the industry at this point. But I think that those statistics aren't talked about enough. A lot of people, even new authors, seem blindsided when they're told like 11,000 books are published per day. They don't understand what they're up against. Even though I don't regret being an author, it's like a lifelong dream for me. I've always wanted to be a bestseller, but just being a storyteller is enough for me because it's something that I can't suppress. It's like I've always been creative. I've always had urges to tell unique, original stories that I don't see being told anywhere else. And I'm never going to stop doing that, you know, and I do reach readers, and I wish it was more, of course, we all do. So I don't think that these statistics would have deterred me in particular, but I think I at least would have done a few things differently. Like one of my regrets is that I didn't go indie in 2012 when the gold rush had just started. Like getting in before the gold rush would have been a great idea. At the time I was holding out for Big 5 Trad Pub because I always thought, it's not going to change that much. It did. It changed a lot. So if I had gone in thinking my chances were almost nil, no matter how well I write, no matter how many people love my books, if I had gone in thinking that, I think I would have thrown caution to the wind and taken more risks in my writing career, and I wish I would have done that. Not every new author needs to hear these things, but I was one of the ones who did, and I hope that my public service announcement reaches someone who needs it. There's a lot of hopes and dreams out there, and I genuinely wish I could read them all, but my own reading rate is something like 60 or 70 books per year, and that's really the most that most people can do. So it's just 11,000 per day versus 70 books per year that I read. And I just wish I could try more of them. There's so many on my reading list, and I'm sure there is on yours as well.